Okay, hello. Welcome to anyone who's joining. Hello, can you all hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, perfect, perfect. So just to get started, just an intro really. We're so blessed to this is our first video call as a Positive Vibe Tribe, and we've got an amazing guest, Christoph Spiessens, to kickstart this. Christoph is an amazing mindfulness teacher, author. He's a coach. He's great at meditation and stuff as well. He's just an amazing guy, and I'm so blessed to have met him. And we're just so lucky to have him here on the tribe today, sharing with us his wisdom. So welcome, Christoph.
Well, thank you, Corinna, for this beautiful, if not somewhat overwhelming introduction. It's great to be here. Thanks for having me. And before we do anything, can I just congratulate you on your beautiful group that you have created, and also on the success that it is rapidly gaining around the world. It's necessary, it's important, and it's effective. So well done.
Thank you. That means a lot. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So, obviously there's lots going on at the moment. It's very interesting times that we're living in. And I just want to really ask Christoph his thoughts around the situation and how he feels things are at the moment for him, and how we can potentially use this as an opportunity maybe.
So I hope I'm right in assuming that most people who are joining us today, or who will be watching this in a future, opportunity, will be light workers and people who aim to inspire others and so forth. I think for us, this is really, although it's a shock, it's not that big a shock at the same time, because if we kind of look back at everything that's been going on in our own lives to help us in many ways prepare for this current situation, I think that's a useful place to start, to make sense of what's happening. It's like, how can I connect some dots here? I'm going to give you an example. So in my work, I either work with large groups of people when I do talks and workshops, etc., or I spend probably a little bit too much time on my own sometimes, but I like my own company. I like to create, I like to write, I like to record meditations. So I'm cool with that. But there's many people out there who all of a sudden are forced to be with their own company and are not used to it because they've always tried to avoid it. And this kind of situation is giving them an opportunity to try something new. And it's not pretty, it's not nice, it's not easy, but it's important that it happens. Now, whereas, to kind of come back to your question, Corinna, I think this is where we can make a difference. Through experience, we can help people in difficult situations like this. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. I think it's just an opportunity for us to all to step up. You know, we've been training for this for lifetimes, and our entire lives. Every experience we've had, every connection we've made has led us to this moment, and we all have an opportunity to step up and actually make a difference in the world now more than ever.
And I'd like to add, if I may, that this is not an obligation, because this is something else that comes up amongst light workers and our tribe. Let's just call it our tribe, because it's not a responsibility. Simply being you it really is enough, and being in your presence is enough. Now, I know that in this time of spatial distancing, that being in one's presence is not as obvious as it usually is, but we are still available to other people, be it in this format or be it through the unseen channels. We are available, and people are very, I don't know if this is the same for you, but I sometimes, not always in the moment, but there are times where I think, today I was feeling a little bit off and I have absolutely no idea why, because I'm fine, I've been for a run, I'm healthy, whatever. And then somebody will contact me later and say, I don't know if you felt it earlier, but I was thinking about you because I needed some of your energy. And I was like, boom, there you go. So all that to say that you can still serve. It's not an obligation. You're doing it simply by virtue of being you.
Amazing. Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. And we're all doing what we're supposed to be doing in our own way. And one person's version of stepping up might be to host something like this.
Mm-hmm.
Another person's might just be, you know, having that chatting to someone that they don't, you know, supporting someone, smiling at someone when you pass them, you know, simple things.
Okay.
But
and you're
I'm
doing
interested,
yeah, with facilitating this for us.
Yes, and it's just such a lovely opportunity to bring beautiful, like-minded souls together in such a lovely space. It's just such an honor. But another question for you, Christoph, that's come up for me. Lots of people are in isolation at the moment, and they're not comfortable with their own company. Do you have any tips or tools for them to, you know, to get through this?
Oh, that's a great question. I assume there's many. Let's see which ones come to the surface for me. Yeah, I think, like I said earlier, it's not going to be pretty for many people. And that's just some raw truth that I'm going to stick with for now, because I feel that this recording is going to serve people way beyond this moment. So I'm just going to honor it and own it. Mindfulness is a good place to start, and we probably understand what we mean by that, but for those who don't, it is simply about giving, well, it's not simple, but it's about giving your mind a break from the current overthinking and the broken record. Either it's playing in the past, it's in the future, so it triggers depression, it triggers anxiety, and it's an opportunity, it's an invitation to be with the present moments, even if that means, well, Chris, that's the last place where I would be. It's important, because if you're constantly escaping from the past or hiding from the future, you're going to wear yourself out. So I think the sooner you can, and to keep it very practical, the sooner you can purchase an online course in mindfulness, or you download the first book on mindfulness, anything on mindfulness right now is going to be extremely useful. It doesn't have to be highly academic. It's not about neuroscience. It's about being in the present moments. Start with that. It will help you ground yourself and find some sort of center. And I keep saying, for people, you know, who are not like us, but actually I want to include us in this invitation, because for us, it's about being grounded in a different way. We understand things that other people may not understand, but the invitation to stay grounded is valid for us as well. Yeah. So I think mindfulness is probably my biggest one, Corinna.
Amazing.
Also, don't be too proud to ask for help. This is something that we see, whether there's a virus at large or not. People are, for all sorts of reasons, valid and not so valid, sometimes too shy, for whatever reason, I don't want to reach out for help. Do it. It's the most amazing thing. I don't think I can come up with any situations where people have told me, gosh, that really backfired. I'm not saying it's comfortable, but I am saying that asking for help usually is going to bring you that, you open a door for that help to come into your life. So mindfulness, asking for help. Let's see if I can give you a third one. Trust. Practicing trust. We're not going to go anywhere, so you might as well take it in your stride and see what this gift of time has in store for you. What's it giving you? Maybe it forces you to sit down and write the book that you have in you. Maybe whatever. There's probably something in it. It's going to be here for a while. why not optimize it? Why not leverage the opportunity? So I hope that makes sense. I think keep it grounded, keep it real. Don't be too proud. That should be some tools that are helpful.
Amazing. They're really great tools as well. And there's such a big thing about, for me as well, just seeing the opportunity that this time is giving everyone, this space.
Mhm.
You know, I've had so much time to think about, for me personally, to think about how we can make this tribe even more impactful.
Mhm.
And it's given me that headspace to be able to focus on that. And it's such a gift, and time is a gift. And yeah, I think that's really important, to appreciate the time instead of being afraid of it.
I think we're hugely encouraged by it, because people are naturally drawn to our group, because as Christoph quite rightly said, by promoting, just by being ourselves, and being able to encourage the things that we're encouraging and create the safe place that we've been able to create, people are being naturally drawn to us, which is absolutely amazing. And I think that just goes to show, I mean, we've had a lot of encouragement on the admin team, which just drives us further and further and further. And again, you know, draws in such amazing people like today, to just be able to have the opportunity to speak with someone as professional as Christoph, who's got so much knowledge in this field.
Well, thank you. No, it's true. And it's trusting that doing your thing is the best you can do anyway. And if it resonates, great. If it doesn't, also good. We don't have an obligation to show up. I don't think. That's my personal belief, which makes it easier to show up because it's more inspirational that way. Likewise, people don't have an obligation to take on board what we are talking about, but the invitation is there, you know. And I think one of the big things that's coming, or hopefully is going, or I feel is going to come out of this, is the releasing of chains on so many levels, like obligation and rules. And I'm not saying rules are not important. They, of course, they are important when you have billions of people living together. But I do feel they will morph. And that's already happening. If you see all the beautiful stuff that's happening on social media, the way people are serving the community, many rules are being broken, but they're not being broken. They're just being optimized through morphing them in ways that we can actually support each other 10 times better and operate 10 times better than we've ever done before. So I think if we appreciate the flexibility, that would be useful. Yeah.
So would you have, one of my questions to you, Christoph, was, obviously you must have a very, very busy schedule. And I'm one of the people at the moment that's been, still have to drive to the office. I still have to go and work in the current circumstances. Would you have any advice for how one would set a schedule to just maintain the highest level of mindfulness in these busy and yet uncertain times?
It's a great question, and I think it's a useful question as well. So what came to me, Shelley, is self-compassion and self-respect, basics. Knowing your boundaries, what can I take on? What do I not need to take on? Again, in alignment with what we said earlier about responsibilities and obligations. Keep a healthy perspective on the degree to which you have to. And I know you know there's careers, we do have responsibilities that we signed up for, but within reason. Just because this is all happening doesn't mean that we have to become, you know, something that we are not. Does that help? I think it's just
that does, absolutely.
Because can I just expand on this for a moment, Shelley? Usually when people ask me a question, it's not always the question that's the question. Often there's something that sits right under that surface. And I think there might be something else here. You just want to check in with yourself if you asked me for the practical application of the answer, or is there something else?
I guess, we all know, those of us that are more practiced in it, we know what we need to do. Sometimes, finding the time, or, we're absorbing a lot of negativity from people around us at the moment. And that has to be one of my biggest struggles, if I have to admit it. For me, managing that is probably one of the hardest parts. So where I know that I should be performing 5-minute meditations where possible, and and I can apply a lot of these things to my life, but sometimes in the current climate you might just feel like you're fighting a bit of a losing battle.
Yes, and I know I can be cheeky with you, but if that's what you feel, then that's what you create, right? So
Oh, absolutely. It's how to avoid it. Where is the peak level that it's we lead by example, for instance, and these times are the ones where we would probably question ourselves the most.
well, awareness is the first step to the next step. So start with that. You have the awareness. I think that is going to protect you and save you from potential overload, or overload at an overload capacity where actually it is proper overload. And it's important. And I'm going to, with Corinna's permission, expand a little bit on this, because I know you're hosting this. So it's something, Shelley, and everybody for that matter, that I had to learn through experience, especially last year. I've been in this field for a long time, but last year specifically, and now today I get it, why it all happened. But last year specifically, I had to learn with my empathic skills. They were upgraded to levels where no matter how much I love this job, is not the right word, but capacity, let's go with that, it became at times uncomfortable. And I was like, where does this anxiety come from? Is it my own? Is it other people's stuff? And then I was like, I don't want to blame other people for it, because I have to take responsibility for my well-being and mental wellness, etc. So I really, I did the work, and I went deep, so to speak. Some of it was pretty, most of it was not pretty. I looked for help. I turned into mindfulness. There's a great spiritual mentor called Melody Green. She is based in Australia. I believe she's a member of the group as well. I did frequent work with her to help me make sense of what I was experiencing, and to help me show up and honor my spiritual work with people without being what's the way, tsunamied almost, at times, to a point where I didn't want to do it anymore. And so if you can, I would definitely suggest getting in touch with her, because it really is important to manage that skill sets. But now it makes sense why the upgrades took place, because now I can go outside and serve, because I know where my limits are. And last night, rather than going to the pub, because it was Friday, but it was no longer allowed, went for a nice walk through the village, or so I thought it was going to be a nice walk. And I came home and I was like, that was my limit, just absorbing, especially last night, everything that was in the air. And that awareness is really helpful, because last year I would have carried on walking. Last night it was like, this is good enough for now. This is far enough. And it was only a short walk. Does that make sense? Sorry, I don't mean to.
Yeah, absolutely. It's no, that does make sense. Yeah, I really thank you for your answers.
Sure.
I'm actually working with Melody myself at the moment as well. Melody Green is amazing. She's so helpful. And as an empath myself, a fellow empath, I totally hear what Christoph's saying. It can be very intense, the energy at the moment, and picking up all of that negativity. It can be overwhelming. So do you have any tips for empaths to be able to deal with that overwhelm? I know mindfulness is something we practice a lot, but is there a go-to that you would suggest, maybe?
Yes, and it's going to sound a little bit not so spiritual and not so woo-woo. It's education.
It's okay, we're open-minded here, it's fine.
Educate yourself on what's happening. That's the baseline. That's the
Mhm.
starting point. Like I said earlier, what's my anxiety? What's not my anxiety? What exactly is anxiety? Start with that. Read up on it. Because truth be told, and this comes from someone who is an empath, I probably have blamed others for some stuff that actually was mine, but I didn't understand. So we can't walk through life blaming everyone and every single place we go for the bad energy that's in that place. Some of it is ours. The challenge is it's ours compounded with other people's energy, and the combination of the two is where it goes off the tracks. Whereas when I understand my own anxiety through, like I said, educating myself, reading the books, taking courses, and talking to people, then I can carry my own anxiety quite nicely. And that puts me in a capacity to support other people's anxiety and energy. Whereas both was too much.
Mm-hmm.
Now, within limits, I can center myself, go out, show up, be effective without the overwhelm. And that's probably the best way I can put it.
What's your number one centering technique for this? So, just to get if maybe a 5-minute tip that you could give to everybody else about grounding yourself in that magic moment.
So the magic moment is my anxiety first aid tip is stop at everything and take yourself for a walk. But that's easily said for someone who works from home and can do that. Mm-hmm. If you're on an airplane, it's not an option. So I'm going to immediately fall, and I knew I was going to say this. So here's my B side of that. I take literally like an out of body perspective at myself. I see myself sitting down or on a stage or whenever I get a wobble, and it's like, Chris, it's fine. From the outside, it's fine. You're not disrupting anything. You're not falling apart. You're not combusting on the spot, And so why am I saying this? Because it gives you the mental reassurance that you've got things in hand. And that's it's one of the ways you can stop the spiraling of stuff. Because if you think, shoot, I've got a wobble, oh my God, this is going to happen. And then it runs away, doesn't it? And you're kind of like dragging behind it. So if you can, go outside, walk it off. If you can't, look at yourself from some distance and realize that everything really is going on in your system, whether that's in your mind or in your body, because they communicate all the time, as you know, and that it's fine. It may not feel fine, but it is fine. You're not dying, So that's the reassurance that can be enough to ground you, and that's the answer to your question from us. I used to do the sprays and the incense and all the holistic stuff, and that's still in my toolkit. But I've become, I'm going to make a very bold statement here, I hope I won't regret it, but I've become a better, more effective, more visible spiritual person by doing all the mental inner work that I hated 2 years ago, because I was like, so much of our anxiety isn't our anxiety, it's about energies that we pick up on. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't always true.
So I totally agree with you, Christoph, and I think that is quite bold of you to say. From my own personal experience, I divorced 4 years ago, and absolutely living on my own and re-establishing myself and my own boundaries was the hardest thing that I've probably had to do in my adult life, as a nearly 40-year-old, trying to make changes, big, bold changes like that. But I've been doing a lot on the law of attraction recently, and what I'm really trying to drum home to people is that it starts within. So absolutely, I totally agree with you on that.
And when you say law of attraction, I'm sure we're all familiar with Abraham Hicks, and I'm sure we YouTube ourselves to death with many of their videos. I don't know if you are familiar with their take on empathic skill sets, but when you listen to it, it's not pretty, and it's actually the opposite of what you may want to hear. The bottom line is, they call it sloppy thinking. And the first time I heard it, I literally wanted to throw my iPhone across the room. I was like, sometimes I literally vibrate out of the pub. That's how badly I can be impacted by other people's energy. What do you mean my thinking is sloppy? And I really took offense, along with millions and millions of other people. And then I was like, do you know what? This is exactly right. You are right, because they are not saying that the vibrational impact is not taking place. What they are saying is you have control of how much you let in and how you manage it. And if you don't have control, that means you haven't mastered it yet. So I was like, that was a pretty brutal wake-up call, but I can to a rather high degree make sense of it. Excuse me. You know? So yeah. The days of energetic shielding and all that for me are definitely not behind me, and I do manage my energy field, but a lot of it is created up here. So don't let a few bad experiences not push you over the edge. Do the work. Talk to someone, read, identify what's yours and what isn't, and you'll be able to serve a lot more effectively. So I feel we have a bit of a theme going on for this particular recording, but it's what is coming through and what I want to share. So yeah, there we are.
You said read. Do you have any recommendations for the tribe and for all our members for any good books to read to help them?
Anxiety or anything in particular?
Just something that's going to help people emotionally, maybe through this challenging time.
There's a great comedian turned spiritual inspirational speaker called Kyle Cease, as in Caesar. Kyle Cease. He's wonderful. He's got a beautiful book out called I Hope I Screw This Up, which is all about being okay with your fears and stepping out into the world and doing it anyway, because you might as well. And so I thought that was a really good book. Anything on mindfulness, plenty of books out there. They're all good because they go kind of by the standards of what mindfulness is. And if I may, I'm not going to make a plug, but I am going to, and I have it ready here, I'm offering a copy of my book and I'll leave that up to you how you want to raffle it or whatever, Corinna.
Amazing.
Oh, that's amazing. Thank you so much.
Yeah, very welcome. My story is in there and it might be helpful. So.
Well, I've found you definitely very helpful today, Christoph. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yes. Does anyone else have any questions for Christoph at all? Hang on.
I think we're struggling to hear Kaz.
Kaz, it sounds like you're speaking, but...
Well, I muted it.
No, Kaz is now mute. Now, yeah, she's unmuted now. Hello, Kaz.
Can't hear you.
Maybe without the headphones?
I'm on headphones.
There we go.
Kaz.
Now we can't hear you.
Can't hear you.
Unplug them. Take them off.
Done. I don't know.
You had it there, Kaz. There we are.
No, can't hear you.
No, I do believe Kaz had some questions about bereavement counselling. I know she's been having a particularly tough time with the isolation going on at the moment because her counselling sessions have been cancelled due to the social distancing. So I think Kaz might have been looking for some tips on how you would people would manage these trauma situations at the moment with the current climate.
Yeah. Well, first of all, Kaz, I'm going to say thank you for being you. That's the key. That's the first message that comes through. And I'm looking away from the webcam. I'm looking directly at your screen to see if I pick anything up in addition to my own Chris chatter. A tremendous amount of love is literally wrapped around you. The invitation is to practice the conversations that you would have with your counselor, if that's not happening now in person, is to have them out loud, even if that makes you think, gosh, I look weird, or it looks silly talking to the walls or to the air or to the plants or to whatever is available. But the invitation and the encouragement, that's the word, the encouragement, and it's encouragement with a capital E, is for you to keep having those conversations. And just like it would go in conventional therapy flow, it's going to bring all sorts of emotions, good, bad, ugly, and to honor all of those emotions and to be okay with it, so to speak. And I don't mean that in a patronizing way. Okay, as in whatever comes up is fine. However you respond to that is fine. But keep the conversation going, keep the dialogue going. It's essential. Does that resonate? Yeah. And
I can't hear Kaz, but I can see her and she's nodding.
And I'm sure that through this group, and I'll leave that up to Corinna, there is an abundance of support. Yeah. So
Absolutely. We've actually just, sorry.
Keep going with the conversation. And as in physically sitting yourself down and being with your therapist, with your counselor, or with yourself, because ultimately that's what a counselor is. They are the version of ourselves that we can't always bring to the situation. Yeah, they show us the bigger version of us. So see what comes up, but keep going, keep at it.
We have actually just started a mentorship program on our tribe as well, so people can sign up and either be a mentor or be a mentee. So it's a great opportunity to connect people and to give people that support and that one-on-one support. So if anyone is interested, it's all the details are on the tribe page. So we would love to be able to launch that and help as many people as we possibly can and support each other.
You keep going from strength to strength with this group.
Thank you.
Community. Yeah. And it's going to exponentially grow because of what's going on right now. So.
Thank you. And
with that comes not an obligation, but an invitation to honor I'm just going with whatever comes through it. The values, the word values I was given or came to me, stick with those, be clear on what the group is about. With growth comes opportunities for staying centered and true. So just sharing that. You have been warned. No.
It's great advice, and yeah, we see this as a great opportunity to be able to touch a lot of people's lives and to create that sense of community, because I think so many people are longing for that. And it's interesting that with technology we are so connected, but we have to use it as in the right way. It's a tool, and I think right now we're really testing that tool to its limits in terms of what it can do and its capabilities. And it's just, I love the fact we're so connected to all these people all around the world, and we've got an opportunity to be able to share and learn and grow together. And I just love that. It makes me smile. It makes me so happy. And to have guest speakers like you on here, and you're part of the tribe as well. It's just an amazing opportunity. So thank you. This is brilliant. So grateful to everybody.
Yeah.
Like seeks like, we've said it once before, and you know, we are just attracting like-minded people who are full of love, light and good spirit, and that's all we could have ever asked for when the guys started up the page. I personally am blessed to have been asked to come on board with it, and you know, it's just growing in amazing ways. And I think that everything that everybody contributes, you know, whether it be from a recipe to a vision board to a meditation technique, or just some general advice on how to stay mindful from somebody like Christoph, and it's just going from strength to strength, and everybody's contribution is just helping it grow, and that's the most amazing thing that I've ever seen in my life. So it's great.
And it will be so perfectly positioned by the time we're all allowed to, you know, leave the cages, so to speak, and it's going to be even more enjoyable, you know. It doesn't have to be a cage. I so should not have used that word cage. Ignore, erase, edit, delete.
No, it's fine, because you know that just sums up the way people feel at the moment. People do feel boxed in, people do feel caged in, but you know what we're trying to get home to people is it's in here mostly, you know, because once you learn to live with what's in here, it doesn't matter where you are, you know, as long as you're connected. Like Karina says, we're blessed to have amazing technology, as long as we're using it to the right, you know, to the right means, you know, and as long as we carry on doing that, then you know we will escape the cage, so to say.
Good. That's reassuring. Corinna, can I refer people to the 4 free meditations on my website? I guess I've just done it right now, but they are not the 4 core, but there's about 8 core mindfulness meditations. I've recorded 4 in my own voice, slightly using my own words in parts. One is called the mindfulness of breath meditation, which is only 3 minutes, and it's probably the most challenging 3 minutes of your day. It sounds so easy, and gosh, breath. You'd be surprised how difficult it is. But once you master it, it becomes the cornerstone on which you can build the rest of your temple of mindfulness. So that one is available. We have the mountain meditation, which is it's 10 minutes. It's about centering, grounding yourself. Loving kindness, also 10 minutes, which is sending kindness to yourself, as well as the community, as well as people you may not always call your favorite people. So it's an invitation to practice that. And the 4th one is the body scan, which is also 10 minutes and very helpful, because surprising to me, just how much anxiety or other people's energy you actually store in your body that you may not be aware of. So for me, it's the legs. I store it in and I'm a runner. I've got good legs. I've got healthy legs. And sometimes I have the sore legs that you may have after running and you've not stretched. When I've not been for a run, it's like, where does that come from? And that's unprocessed energy. So through the body scan, you identify those areas and you release it. So
that's really kind of you to offer that to us, and we're really grateful for that. And if you don't mind, we would also put that on our YouTube channel, a little section dedicated for yourself. Just, you know, that's very generous of you. Thank you so much, Christoph.
You are welcome. This is the spirituality is not about competition. It is not about promoting. It's not about the big stage. Spirituality is about the small things. How can there be competition when there's 7 billion of us? We all need each other. We might not all be perfect for each other, but there's an opportunity to cut through all the self-help and spirituality BS that's out there. I'm bigger, I'm taller, I'm this, that, the other. Are you effective? That's the question. Are you serving, or have you become too big for your boots? And are you overlooking your core? So I think we can all bring something to the table right now. For me, it's the meditations, and it's very interesting because they were recorded literally over the last 6 to 7 weeks. And it was almost like, and I didn't think I was going to say it, but divine timing, because now I am busy, and it's like I can just refer people to the meditations, knowing that it's like having a chat with me, but I can't always be available, so listen to the meditation instead, you know? So that's what I said earlier. We have been prepared, we have been upgraded, we have been fine-tuned for this, for the next phase, and goodness knows what it will look like, but we can predict what it will feel like through our way of showing up.
I totally agree, and I think this is it's an opportunity now for us all to go within and to figure out who we are as well, and what it is that we want to create, and to be okay with being by ourselves from time to time, and to check in with ourselves and to see how we're all feeling in that moment. And you've given us some amazing tools. I mean, meditation is just it's really changed my life. Like meditation, yoga, all of those practices that bring me back to my center. And also for me as well, using affirmations as well on a daily basis. My favorite affirmation is, I am safe, I am loved, I'm guided, and I'm protected always. When I go into overwhelm and fear, just by saying those words to myself, I feel so much calmer. So that's just a tip that I'd like to share with the tribe as well, because we are always safe, and we are always protected, and we are so loved.
And as Christoph touched on, as long as we trust, then, you know, the universe will bring the right things that we need our way. And I truly believe that.
And it's all a part of our human experience too. We are who we are, and we do what we do, and we are interested in what we're interested in. And you know, there's a but coming. But we are just like the person next to us. We are made of flesh and blood, and we are having, you know, it's all part of the human experience. I guess the reason why I'm saying this is because fear is okay in that regard. Feeling less protected than usual is okay. Yeah, we are protected. But if in the moments where you feel like, oh my God, I'm supposed to have it all, you know, I'm supposed to know it all because I'm spiritual, that's where it goes off the track. You're far more spiritual by honoring that today you are feeling some fear. That will put you back on the tracks far faster than the pretending side of things. So affirmations, extremely useful, extremely valuable, and effective. This is not, I'm not pitching or reflecting this back at Corinna, but about to the bigger group of people who will be watching this. Make sure that your affirmations are genuine. Corinna, is that the word you would agree with? Make sure that they are, that you resonate with them. Otherwise, it's just words, you know.
Absolutely, it has to resonate with you, and you have to believe in it as well. It's that trust thing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
And it's nice to, just in closing, perhaps it's nice to have something ready for your dark moments. And I'll share with you a dark moment. My dark moment is 3 a.m. when I seem to wake up and I need a wee in the middle of the night or whatever it is. And it's like, do you know when your mind is switched off, and then there's a few seconds of bliss, and then this, oh my God, this is happening in my world, this is going on, or he or she said that yesterday. So, and you know the tape is going to kick in. It's normal. Have something ready before you go to bed that you can tell yourself before the tape kicks in or when the tape kicks in. And that's where the affirmations for me personally are at their most effective. So for example, this experience has been beautiful. I'm going to go with this experience asleep tonight. And if tonight I will wake up because I need to go to the loo, and the tape kicks in and says, oh my God, what if I don't make money over the next 6 months because all my speaking gigs have been cancelled? It will be, you were able to serve and show up on the podcast yesterday. And just that thought will be enough to make me wee in peace and go back to bed. Does that make sense? So that you can use your affirmations strategically. And I find that very effective.
That's great advice. I really, really like that. We're all for affirmations, and we do encourage people to, to try and come up with some of their own. We have been, we feel that we could group some together at the moment with, the just general theme of anxieties and health worries that people have been having. But we really do encourage people to just look inside of themselves and, just find out what it is that you need reaffirming to yourself, that you need to project out into the universe, so it can come back to you in full force and bless you.
100%.
It's been such an honour to have you here with us today, Christoph. It really has.
Thank you.
I think that's kind of, I think we've covered a lot of topics.
We
in
have.
the last 45 minutes.
We have. It's been tremendously enjoyable. I hope it's been useful. And this is the start of the conversation, as I always say. So I'm available on the social media channels or through the group. And again, thank you for doing what you do, all of you, especially Corinna and the admin team. It's much appreciated, and it's useful, and it's needed. So, well done.
Thank you, Christoph.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Bye,
you.
everyone.
Bye, everyone. Thank you for joining.
Bye.
Bye.